The Arctic Ocean is hiding secrets that could shake everything we think we know about our planet. From massive, mysterious creatures lurking in the depths to unexplained lights dancing beneath the ice, scientists are uncovering sea anomalies that spark fear and fascination. What is causing these strange phenomena? Are we on the brink of discovering something extraordinary or something terrifying? Starting off today in our number 10 spot, we have the magnetic anomalies. Navigators venturing into certain parts of the Arctic Ocean have reported their compasses going haywire, pointing in unexpected directions and making navigation a very tricky affair. These strange magnetic anomalies aren't just throwing off explorers, they're stirring up concern among scientists studying Earth's magnetic field. The magnetic North Pole has been drifting faster in recent years, and these Arctic oddities might be hints of deeper changes happening within our planet's core. This shift could have ripple effects on everything from navigation systems to the migratory patterns of animals that rely on Earth's magnetic cues. As researchers investigate these mysterious disturbances, they're very keen to uncover what's causing the magnetic mayhem and what it could mean for our technologically dependent world. Could these anomalies be early signs of significant changes in Earth's magnetic behavior? In our number 9 spot today, we have the hidden civilizations. Deep beneath the Arctic's icy veil, tales are emerging of ancient cities entombed in the frozen depths, sparking both excitement and fear among those who hear them. Explorers have reported glimpses of geometric shapes and structures beneath thinning ice sheets, formations that look eerily artificial. Some scientists on remote expeditions have picked up anomalous readings on their equipment, suggesting massive, unexplained objects lying on the ocean floor. Adding to the mystery, a few fishermen have hauled up peculiar artifacts in their nets, intricately carved stones and metallic devices etched with symbols that don't match any known language. While official explanations chalk these up to natural phenomena or modern debris, whispers grow louder that we might be uncovering the remnants of a civilization lost to time. As the Arctic ice continues to recede, one can't help but wonder, are we on the brink of rewriting history with discoveries hidden beneath the polar ice? In our number 8 spot today, we have the disappearances. Throughout history, the Arctic Ocean has swallowed entire expeditions without a trace, leaving behind only whispers of their mysterious fates. The Franklin expedition of the 19th century is perhaps the most haunting. 2 ships and 129 men vanished into the icy abyss, sparking countless theories but offering few answers. Recent findings of their eerily preserved ships beneath the frozen waters have raised more questions than they solve. Some artifacts hint at sudden madness among the crew, while local legends speak of malevolent forces guarding the polar realms. Modern explorers retracing their routes report unsettling phenomena, compasses spinning wildly, unearthly sounds echoing through the mist, and fleeting shadows beneath the ice that defy explanation. As scientists delve deeper into these anomalies, they're beginning to fear that the Arctic hides more than just harsh weather. It may conceal secrets that challenge our understanding of nature itself. In our number 7 spot today, we have the polynyas. The Arctic Ocean is throwing scientists for a loop with the sudden appearance of massive polynyas, huge patches of open water that inexplicably emerge in the midst of solid sea ice. These anomalies aren't just small gaps, some are large enough to be spotted by satellites, leaving experts scratching their heads. Marine life seems equally perplexed, with whales and seals venturing into these unexpected open waters while predators follow close behind, disrupting the natural order of the ecosystem. Some researchers speculate that hidden geothermal activity or shifting ocean currents might be tearing these holes into the ice, but no one really knows for sure. The rapid formation of these polynyas is altering local climates, affecting everything from weather patterns to the migration of species. As the mysteries deepen, scientists are growing increasingly concerned. Could these startling events be signaling even more dramatic changes lurking beneath the Arctic's frozen surface? In our number 6 spot today, we have the frozen methane pingos. pingos. The Arctic Ocean is revealing yet another chilling secret. Enormous underwater mounds called frozen methane pingos that could be ticking time bombs beneath the ice. These mysterious hills, some towering as high as skyscrapers, are filled with pressurized methane gas trapped for millennia. Recent dives have shown these pingos bulging ominously, with cracks spiderwebbing across their surfaces and strange bubbles rising to the frigid surface waters. Scientists are alarmed because if one of these giants were to rupture, it could unleash a massive surge of methane, a greenhouse gas far more potent than carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere, potentially accelerating climate change overnight. Even more unsettling is the possibility of abrupt environmental shifts. Imagine entire ecosystems thrown into chaos by sudden temperature spikes or massive underwater landslides triggering tsunamis. Researchers are racing against time to understand these hidden behemoths before they decide to awaken. Could these frozen giants hold the key to a climatic domino effect no one is prepared for? In our number 5 spot today, we have the watermelon snow algae. Scientists are growing increasingly uneasy about a bizarre phenomenon that's turning the Arctic's once pristine ice sheets a haunting shade of red. Known colloquially as watermelon snow, this eerie coloration is caused by massive blooms of rare algae species. But it's not just the unsettling hue that's causing alarm. These crimson algae absorb more sunlight, dramatically accelerating the melting of the ice and disrupting the delicate balance of the Arctic ecosystem. What's more is that recent expeditions have reported that the areas affected seem to be expanding at an unnatural rate, with some researchers whispering about unknown factors fueling this explosive growth. Wildlife is acting strangely too. Polar bears avoiding their usual hunting grounds and migratory birds altering their flight paths to steer clear of the scarlet-stained ice. As the Arctic continues to bleed red, scientists fear we're witnessing the beginning of an environmental shift with consequences that we can't yet fully grasp. In our number 4 spot today, we are talking about the giant deep-sea creatures. Beneath the icy surface of the Arctic Ocean, rumors are swirling about colossal sea creatures that defy all scientific understanding, sending chills through the marine biology community. Local fishermen whisper about nets shredded by unseen giants and shadows that blot out the sunlight beneath their boats. Deep-sea explorers have reported anomalous readings, massive moving objects that vanish without a trace when approached. Some submersibles have even captured fleeting images of tentacles stretching into the darkness or enormous fins slicing through the frigid waters. Scientists fear these could be prehistoric behemoths awakened from eons of slumber by shifting climates and melting ice. The idea that such leviathans might be real is both exhilarating and absolutely terrifying, hinting at undiscovered links in the ocean's food chain. As research teams prepare to dive deeper than ever before, a daunting question hangs in the air. Are we ready to confront the monstrous mysteries that the thawing Arctic is beginning to unveil? In our number 3 spot today, we have the secret military installations. Rumors are swirling that the Arctic Ocean is concealing more than just ice and wildlife. Some believe it's home to secret military installations hidden beneath the frigid waters. Locals and explorers have reported unusual sightings: strange metallic structures peeking through the ice, unmarked vessels slipping silently through foggy nights, and mysterious transmissions interrupting radio signals. Even satellite images seem to blur or distort certain areas, fueling speculation that governments are masking something big. Scientists on research missions have stumbled upon restricted zones patrolled by unidentified personnel, and their equipment sometimes malfunctions without explanation. The strategic importance of the Arctic, with its untapped resources and new shipping lanes opening due to melting ice, makes these whispers even more intriguing. Could nations be quietly building underwater bases or testing advanced technologies away from prying eyes? The idea might sound like something out of a spy novel, but with so much at stake in this remote frontier, it's a question that keeps getting harder and harder to dismiss. In our number 2 spot today, we have the unusual light phenomena. Under the Arctic night sky, explorers and scientists are witnessing a mesmerizing yet unnerving spectacle of unexplained lights dancing across the horizon. These unusual light phenomena, often dubbed Arctic UFOs, flicker and swirl in patterns that defy natural explanations. While some attribute them to rare atmospheric conditions, shimmering auroras, or optical illusions created by ice crystals, others whisper about more mysterious origins. Reports describe lights moving in synchronized formations, changing colors with eerie precision, and sometimes hovering motionlessly before vanishing without a trace. Cameras and sensors occasionally capture these elusive displays, sparking intense debates among experts. Theories range from secret military experiments using advanced technologies to hints of extraterrestrial visitors observing our planet from the frozen depths. Locals share stories passed down through generations of strange lights guiding ships or signaling hidden dangers beneath the ice. As the Arctic continues to thaw and open up, these lights grow more frequent, leaving scientists both fascinated and fearful of what secrets the darkness might reveal. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the Hollow Earth. Whispers of a hidden world beneath the Arctic ice have reignited one of the oldest and most tantalizing conspiracy theories: the existence of a hollow Earth. Adventurers and fringe theorists claim that massive entrances to this subterranean realm lie concealed at the poles, guarded by ancient forces or advanced technologies. Recent expeditions have stumbled upon inexplicable geological formations and vast unexplored caverns that some believe could be gateways to this mysterious inner world. Stories of eerie lights emanating from beneath the ice, coupled with unexplained seismic activity, only add fuel to this speculation. Locals share legends of secret passages and lost civilizations thriving in the darkness below, untouched by time. While mainstream science dismisses these claims as fanciful myths, the allure of discovering a hidden civilization or untapped resources keeps the mystery alive. As ice caps continue to melt and new areas become accessible, the possibility of uncovering something extraordinary captivates the imagination. Could there truly be an undiscovered world waiting beneath the frozen surface, or is this just another captivating chapter in the Arctic's long history of mysterious secrets?
We're starting things off with the case of the ping. So reports of strange sounds, often described as whistles, hums, or pings, have been documented in the Arctic, and one of the most famous cases involving a strange sound is the Arctic ping. Back in the summer of 2016, in a small Inuit hamlet called Igloolik in Nunavut, hunters started getting concerned about a strange ping noise coming from the Fury and Hecla Strait, which is a channel of water about 75 miles northwest of Igloolik. Now, the hunters' primary concern wasn't just how bizarre the sound was and the fact that they couldn't identify it, but the fact that it seemed to be scaring away the sea mammals in the area that they depend on. The sound seemed to be coming from the sea floor, and this wasn't just a few residents reporting the sound either. This was a big enough deal that the military was actually sent in to investigate, but they didn't find anything. One theory is that members of Greenpeace were somehow involved, creating the sound in order to scare off the animals from the hunters, but there's never been any definitive proof of that hypothesis. Next up, we have the Arctic UAPs. So just like with any remote area, the Arctic has its fair share of reported UFO sightings, and now some of these can be attributed to military activity or just misidentification of natural things, but some are still very much unexplained, and one of the biggest stories to come out recently is back in February of 2023 when all those UAPs were shot down over a bunch of different airspaces, mostly in Canada and the United States. News Nation just recently followed up on this story, saying that there were various sources claiming that there was a previously undisclosed encounter 8 or 9 other UAPs, and this was right over the Arctic Circle. This was on February 1st, just a few days before the main objects had been shot down. Fighter jets were sent up from NORAD to engage with the objects, but the UAPs flew off at high speed, and no, they still aren't sure what these things were, unless they're just hiding that info from the public. Either way, it's pretty eerie stuff. Next up on the list, we have a very alarming discovery of viruses. Scientists have come across viruses like the mollivirus, for example, in the permafrost of the Arctic Circle. Permafrost is permanently frozen soil, and as it thaws, it exposes ancient layers, some of which contain ancient viruses. Mollivirus is a type of giant virus, and the fact that viruses can linger deep within the ice, lying dormant for thousands of years and then unleash themselves on the world when they're thawed out, is a pretty freaky idea. Luckily, there haven't been any discovered so far that pose a serious threat to humans, but that doesn't mean that more potentially deadly ancient viruses won't rear their ugly head and become active as more permafrost starts to thaw. Who knows what could be locked away under there. If you are enjoying our channel so far, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave your thoughts and comments down in the comments below. So speaking of these dormant viruses breaking free from melting Arctic ice, we have the very creepy case of the Siberian anthrax outbreak in 2016. And so unlike the dormant ancient viruses that I talked about before, this actually did affect human beings. Apparently this was caused by a heat wave, thawed a 75-year-old reindeer carcass that had been infected with anthrax. The thawing process released dormant spores of the bacteria responsible for anthrax into the surrounding environment. The spores contaminated the soil and water sources nearby, and then local reindeer that were grazing on the contaminated land, of course, came into contact with these anthrax spores. Over 2,300 reindeer were infected. This then led to humans getting infected when they consumed the contaminated reindeer meat. About 100 people were hospitalized with anthrax exposure. One person even lost their life. So yeah, this was pretty freaky. Could have been much worse, but freaky nonetheless. Anthrax really is no joke. Just goes to show like how insidious dormant bacteria really is. So Greenland sharks are one of the largest shark species. They can grow to lengths of 24 feet, sometimes more. That's a big shark. You don't need me to tell you why that's scary. Now, here's something that I could not believe about these things. Greenland sharks have a very long lifespan. And when I say long, I mean like long. Again, I read this and was shocked. They live between 250 to 500 years. 500! That means there could be a Greenland shark swimming around up in the North Pole right now that's been alive since the 16th century. Just a handful of years after the Middle Ages. Blows my mind. These sharks have a bit of a creepy look to them as well, with a thick, robust body, a rounded snout, dark gray or black in color. Their eyes also have this pale, almost zombie kind of look to them. These are apex predators, their diet consisting of fish, seals, and other marine animals, and they live deep under the water at depths of around 650 to 3,000 feet, and they've been recorded even deeper than that. Next on the list is radioactive fallout. So in the 50s and 60s, a lot of nuclear testing took place, and this released a lot of radioactive material into the atmosphere. These tests, which were conducted both above and below ground, led to the dispersal of radioactive particles over long distances, and the Arctic region, even though it was far away from the primary testing sites, ended up accumulating a lot of this fallout, which was transported there through precipitation patterns before finally settling in the ice and snow. The fallout included Caesium-137 and Strontium-90, which stay radioactive for long periods of time, and they contaminated soil, water, and wildlife. And just like with those pesky viruses, as Arctic ice melts, there are concerns about these radioactive particles getting re-released, redistributing the fallout, and affecting local populations and wildlife. Negatively, of course. You know what's creepy? Corpses. Dead stuff. It's just icky. Ever thought of that? Yeah, this is very enlightening information I'm sharing with you right now. Well, even creepier are old but very well preserved corpses. mummies. Well, the Arctic ice is a perfect environment for keeping corpses nice and cool, and that's why mummies are found in this part of the world all the time. In one case, in Greenland, the Arctic environment preserved all these mummified bodies, which dated back between 1475 and 1635. These human remains were found in burial sites, and the cold, dry conditions of the Arctic led to the natural mummification process. There have also been several remains of the crew of the doomed Franklin expedition dug up over the years. They look pretty freaky. I mean, if zombies actually started rising up from their graves, they'd basically look like these mummies, depending when they died, anyway. Next, we have the discovery of crashed planes from World War II. There have been a number of World War II planes found buried under Arctic ice over the years. Take one case in 1992, for example. During World War II, a P-38 Lightning fighter aircraft and two B-17 Flying Fortress bombers were part of the Lost Squadron, which encountered a blizzard while supporting the Allied war effort in the British Isles. Because of severe weather conditions, the aircraft were forced to make an emergency landing on the glaciers of Greenland in 1942. All the crew members did survive the emergency landing, but they had to endure very harsh conditions on the ice for 9 whole days before finally being rescued. The aircrafts, though, were left behind on the glacier. Over the following decades, the shifting ice sheets of Greenland gradually buried the planes under about 250 to 300 feet of ice. But then in 1992, one of the P-38 Lightning fighters was successfully extracted from the ice. This aircraft became known as Glacier Girl, and remarkably, despite being encased in ice for like half a century, the P-38 was actually restored to flying condition. Next on the list are Arctic sea ice circles. NASA scientists, during the Operation Icebridge mission over the Beaufort Sea in the Arctic, observed 3 holes in the sea ice surrounded by irregular circular shapes. It's still not entirely known what causes these circles, but some possibilities are seals or whales creating the holes, allowing water to flow out and from the circular shapes, or warm water bubbling up from below. These strange holes appear in an area of young, thin ice that was recently open water, with wave-like ripples on its surface. Arctic sea ice is composed of both multi-year and seasonal ice and has been diminishing and thinning over the years, particularly, as you can imagine, in the summer. The Arctic seems to be warming at twice the global average rate. Some scientists are predicting that the Arctic could be almost ice-free in the summer by the 2040s. Finally, though, we have the release of methane. We talked about ancient viruses thawing out of the permafrost earlier in the video, but that's not the only concerning thing concealed deep within the layers of Arctic ice. So the Arctic region has vast amounts of permafrost, permanently frozen soil, and permafrost is thawing, so I guess it's not permanently frozen then, which is exposing organic matter that's been frozen for thousands of years, like dead plants and animals, like the eerily well-preserved Yucca mammoth found in Siberia back in 2010, for example. And when permafrost thaws, the previously frozen organic matter becomes available to bacteria, which then break it down, releasing methane. Is also released from the seafloor in some Arctic areas through seeps. These seeps can be natural, but things like oil drilling can also release methane, and a lot of scientists are concerned about this because excessive amounts of methane ain't great for the environment.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the Mercury reservoirs. The Arctic isn't just melting, it's unlocking vast stores of hidden toxins, and some of the most unsettling surprises involve mercury lurking beneath the ice. Scientists have found that permafrost in the far north holds staggering amounts of this dangerous metal, nearly twice as much as what's already present in all other soils, the oceans, and the atmosphere combined. As global warming softens what was once permanently frozen ground, mercury begins seeping into rivers, flowing freely toward the Arctic Ocean, and slipping silently into the food web. Local communities who have lived off these waters and marine mammals for generations may be forced to reckon with contaminated meals that carry serious health risks. In our number 9 spot today, we have the methane craters in the Russian Arctic. Giant craters, wide enough to swallow a building, are ripping open across the Russian Arctic Arctic, and their sudden appearance is rattling scientists to the core. In places like the remote Yamal Peninsula, these eerie holes aren't created by meteors or bombs, but by colossal bursts of methane gas erupting from beneath the thawing permafrost. These explosive events are more than just freak geological fireworks, they're a glaring signal that the once solid Arctic floor is destabilizing at a troubling pace. As the permafrost melts, ancient methane, an incredibly potent greenhouse gas, escapes into the atmosphere, accelerating climate change right before our eyes. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Mount Erebus disaster. No one expected a sightseeing trip over Antarctica to end in one of the darkest chapters of aviation history, but that's exactly what happened when Air New Zealand Flight 901 slammed into Mount Erebus in 1979. The plane, carrying 237 passengers and 20 crew, was supposed to glide over the ice and return home the same evening, but a small, late-night tweak to its flight coordinates meant the pilots were steering straight into a deadly trap. They thought that they were flying safely over McMurdo Sound, but thanks to a critical navigational change that no one bothered to mention, the aircraft was actually aimed right at the slopes of Mount Erebus. The aftermath was an outpouring of grief and confusion that rattled New Zealand to its core. The ensuing investigation revealed not just pilot error, initially blamed for the disaster, but a web of miscommunication and buried truths that led to a royal commission. In an unforgettable line, the judge accused Air New Zealand of offering up, quote, an orchestrated litany of lies, a phrase that left the airline's reputation in shambles and forced top-level changes. Even decades later, the Mount Erebus disaster stands as a haunting reminder that sometimes the deadliest discoveries are the ones hidden right under our noses, waiting for one wrong move. In 2016, the remote Yamal Peninsula in Russia became the chilling backdrop for a nightmare no one saw coming. As the Arctic warmed, a patch of thawing permafrost revealed the decaying body of a reindeer that had died from anthrax decades earlier. What seemed like a natural thaw quickly turned deadly when dormant anthrax spores sprang back to life, unleashing a silent killer into the community. Local residents were blindsided as the ancient bacteria spread swiftly, tragically claiming a life and making several others seriously ill. This horrifying event wasn't just a freak accident, it was a warning that melting Arctic soils could resurrect pathogens we thought were long eradicated. Scientists are now on high alert, fearing that as more ice melts, other forgotten diseases could emerge from their frozen tombs, posing new and unpredictable threats to human health. The Yamal tragedy underscores a terrifying reality. The Arctic's thawing isn't just about rising temperatures and disappearing ice, it's also about awakening ancient dangers that modern medicine might not be ready to handle. Next up, we are talking about the polluted Greenland sharks. Greenland sharks are some of the oldest creatures on Earth, and they are turning heads for all the wrong reasons as they unveil a dark secret hidden in the Arctic depths. These mysterious giants, living for centuries in the frigid remote waters, were once thought to be pristine guardians of the North, but recent studies have shocked scientists by revealing that their massive bodies are teeming with heavy metals and stubborn industrial chemicals like PCBs. These pollutants didn't originate in the Arctic. Instead, they traveled thousands of miles from bustling factories and sprawling cities, hitching rides on ocean currents and carried by the wind. As these toxins accumulate over the sharks' long lives, they pose serious threats, not only to the sharks themselves, but also to the entire marine ecosystem and the indigenous communities that rely on these waters for their livelihoods. The fact that such remote and ancient creatures are now contaminated highlights a terrifying reality. Human industrial pollution has reached even the most untouched corners of our planet. At our halfway mark today, we are talking about microplastics. Hidden deep within Greenland's ancient ice lies a shocking testament to humanity's relentless plastic footprint. Microplastics embedded in snow layers dating back decades, some even a century. When scientists drilled into these frozen time capsules, they uncovered tiny synthetic particles from everyday items like textiles, packaging, and consumer products, proving that plastic pollution isn't just a modern crisis, but has been seeping into the environment for much longer than we might have thought. These minuscule invaders travel traveled thousands of miles, reaching one of the most remote and pristine places on Earth. The discovery is unsettling because it shows just how pervasive our plastic waste has become, infiltrating ecosystems that were once considered untouched by humanity. Microplastics in Greenland's ice could disrupt delicate Arctic food webs, harm wildlife, and eventually make their way into the diets of those relying on these ecosystems. This revelation forces us to confront the grim reality that no corner of the planet is safe from plastic pollution. As the Arctic continues to thaw, these frozen records are not just indicators of past pollution, but ominous warnings of a future where plastic could dominate even the most remote landscapes. Beneath Greenland's vast ice sheet lies a hidden relic of the Cold War, a chilling reminder that history's shadows can resurface in the most unexpected ways. Camp Century, one of several US military bases buried beneath thick layers of ice, was once a bustling hub of scientific research and secretive operations. Today, as global temperatures climb and the ice melts faster than anyone predicted, the remnants of these frozen outposts are thawing, unleashing a toxic legacy that scientists are scrambling to understand. Inside these abandoned bases, diesel fuel leaks from old generators, PCBs from electrical equipment seep into the ground, and low-level radioactive waste from experiments begins to percolate into the pristine Arctic environment. The fear is palpable. These pollutants could contaminate rivers and soil, poisoning wildlife. Imagine decades-old chemicals and radioactive materials once securely locked away, now mingling with melting ice and flowing into untouched ecosystems. The thawing of Camp Century and its toxic cargo serves as a warning that the repercussions of past conflicts can linger for centuries. Next, we are talking about the Atlanticization of the Arctic Ocean. Warm, salty Atlantic waters are invading the Arctic Ocean, sparking a silent invasion that's turning heads and raising alarms among scientists. This phenomenon, dubbed Atlanticization, is fundamentally altering the Arctic's once pristine marine ecosystem. As these warmer currents seep north, they bring with them species that have never before ventured into these icy waters. Imagine Atlantic cod swimming where only Arctic char once ruled, or invasive jellyfish drifting into regions teeming with native plankton. These newcomers disrupt established food webs, outcompeting and displacing native species that are crucial to the Arctic's very delicate balance. The shift in ocean chemistry also opens the door for new pathogens to hitch a ride. The influx of nutrient-rich waters is changing the very foundation of the marine environment, leading to unpredictable blooms of algae and altering the availability of essential nutrients. This rapid transformation not only threatens biodiversity, but also jeopardizes the stability of the entire region's climate system. Scientists fear that Atlanticization could accelerate the loss of Arctic ice, further intensifying global warming and creating a feedback loop that exacerbates environmental change. Next, we are talking about ancient fungal spores. The frozen ground in the Arctic is thawing, and it's not just melting ice that's being uncovered. We are talking about ancient fungal spores, some tens of thousands of years old, that are waking up from their icy slumber. These aren't your average mushrooms. Some of these prehistoric fungi have the potential to infect plants and maybe even animals. Scientists are worried because these re-emerging fungi could throw entire ecosystems out of whack. Imagine a forest where the soil chemistry suddenly changes, making it impossible for trees to survive. Or picture a tundra where familiar plants are wiped out by these ancient invaders. It's a real-life ecological thriller unfolding before our eyes, and the consequences could be dire. And finally on our list today, we are talking about the forever chemicals in the Arctic wildlife. Polar bears. Those majestic rulers of the Arctic are carrying a disturbing secret within their bodies: forever chemicals. These pollutants, officially known as PFAs, have been found in alarmingly high levels in Arctic wildlife like polar bears, seals, and seabirds. The crazy thing is, these chemicals are mainly released thousands of miles away from the Arctic through industrial activities in more populated areas. But like tiny hitchhikers, they travel on ocean currents and wind, eventually reaching the most remote corners of the planet. And here's the kicker: these chemicals don't break down in the environment. They linger, earning their nickname forever chemicals, and accumulate in the bodies of animals at the top of the food chain. This means these iconic Arctic creatures are facing a hidden threat that weakens their immune systems, messes with their ability to reproduce, and causes a whole host of other health problems.